Is Cambridge in St Andrew? According to Woodville Marshall's book of Halls, Hills and Holes, Cambridge Plantation Freehold Village, located to the east of Seniors, to the north of Springfield, to the west of the East Coast Road, and to the south of Chalky Mount, straddles both the boundary with St Joseph and St Andrew. Dexter Marshall delves into his journey from Chalky Mount to Cambridge as a child.
We are in Chalky Mount on the mountain hill. I'm from the middle of Chalky Mount, and then my mom moved to the house in front of the school, where the school was. That's where I was born, in Chalky Mount. Between there and then I moved up to on top of the hill by the school. But when I reached my fourth age, my dad took me and my sister to Cambridge. Cambridge was same family-oriented community, right? And also I had my father's sister up there, my auntie Kelman's, and it was a new beginning for me. I leave my mother, Chalky Mount, and going to Cambridge with my dad, and then I had to get accustomed to Cambridge. But eventually, as I got older, then all the kids we started to come together and do things together. So then it was no problem for me now being in Cambridge with my father and my sister and my other siblings. Cambridge was a second home to me. But I always venture back into Chalky Mount because the majority of my friends and family was in Chalky Mount. But Cambridge is very special. It's a very special community. But I still remain connected to Chalky Mount because my older siblings and my mom still live in Chalky Mount. The table there was with me, growing up with my friends, was like where we are on top this mountain, going for cashews, trying to see how much cashew seeds that we could save, that when the cashew season out, that we could roast them and eat them. And we used to just roam these hills, playing cowboy and Indians. And we used to go to the rivers. We used to go and fish from the rivers from Dark Hole right down to Lakes Bridge, fishing all those rivers. Me catching the crayfish and coming home and roasting them, eating them. Many times, we had to walk to the East Coast to head up buckets of water. People from Chalky Mount, people from Cambridge, everybody heading to the East Coast. But they had standpoints at certain points of the East Coast Road. So the one for Chalky Mount would be straight down here, Benab. So that Benab was where Chalky Mount used to go for their water. Barclays Park, East Coast, where Cambridge people used to go for their water. So that was challenging, but it was fun. Sometimes you come up the hill, the bucket drop off your head, you got to go back down for the water. So that in itself, that was real fun. Actually real fun for us to be doing that. So Sunday when we go down, we go to the beach and bathe one time, because there's no water back at the standpipe. So we used to take our bath down there and then catch our containers of water and then head back at the hill to our homes. Another thing that I want to say is that back then, as young boys, going in Chalky Mount in Cambridge, they had 3 shops in Chalky Mount. The main shop was, we used to call it Wardrobe Shop. And you could go there and the older folks would gather we as kids and talk to us and tell us things not to do. So they taught us principles about living. And that was one of the things that I enjoy about going to the shop to the older folks. They used to sit with you and they used to take care of you. If they see you doing something wrong, they could put a lash on you and then go and tell your mother. You can't go and tell your father nothing because licks again.
Now, we can't talk about Chalky Mount without including the art of pottery making.
As you know, Chalky Mount is the original pottery makers. And the names was like Mr. Goodman, Mr. Marshall, the Devinishes, and the Hardins. Those were the ones that actually, they were the old-time potters. When you think about being in Chalky Mount, that we like, one thing that I want to share is that we love when we are on vacation. And when we love long vacation come, it's because that when we used to wait by the school, me and all my friends. So when the tourists come through with the moats, the tourists come through with the mini moats, we would jump up on the mini moats and say, we can take them to the pottery shop. So we would take them to the pottery shops, and when they done get what they want, then they would give us like 50 cents and 25 cents. So what we would do, we would see how much money we could make within a day from those tourists when they come to the pottery, because they don't know where they are. So we used to just wait by the school or the shop. So when they come, they ask, where's the pottery? So we would come, we will show you. So if there's 3 vans, there's 6 boys, 2 on each van, 2 on each mob, and we would take them to. So that if you take one to Mr. Goodman, I would take one to the Hardings, and vice versa. So that was one thing that I love being in Chalky Mount, that we grew up doing. That's one thing that we look forward for every time we're on vacation, because we know that we're going to make some money to go to the shop and buy the juicy, some biscuit or cheese cutter back in those days.
You know anything about making pottery?
I try. But one thing that we used to go, and we used to help the old folks, because back then there were no electrical pottery machine. So they had something called the push stick. So we would go and help the potter. We would push and pull the wheel so that he could mold and shape it into whatever he wants to be. But as things grow up, then they had the kick one. You used to kick it, and then you got the electrical one. So that was a joy for me and all my friends that grew up in Chalky Mount at those times.
Now you said that you tried making pottery, but what are some of the things that would be commonly made at the pottery shop?
You got the monkey, we store the water. You would get saucers, you get teacups, and you get mugs. You get plates, but the monkey was one of the big sellers, because it kept the water cool. And then you had the salt pot, where you put the pork, swab it, and you cover up in that pottery, and then you had one where that you could cook in it. So there were a variety of things that we had to use in our homes, because back then the homes wasn't have a stove. So they had something that we would call like it's like a oven, where you juke sticks in it, and where you put your saucepan on it, and you burn it, and it comes like that. Those was the things that make us who we are in Chalky Mount.
Dexter takes us on his school journey and the lifelong skills he learned.
In those days, it was Chalky Mount Mixed School, and it was very family and community knitted school. You know, nobody came from outside. All the students was from Chalky Mount in Cambridge, and Business Housing area in Parks Road and St. Sylvan's Village, which we call Dark Hole today. And it was really exciting, you know, because then you had a diverse of people come from different locations, and it was all family. It was all friends here, and they had the course. At that time it was Bellplain Primary, and then you had St. Saviour's, and then they had one in St. Simon's. But there were 4 primary schools in St. Andrew. So after sitting the exam, I went to Parkinson Secondary School. For us, the bus never came to Cambridge. It's always only come to Chalky Mount. It never came to Cambridge. So on mornings, the bus would leave Chalky Mount at 7:30. Now, knowing that we have to go to the pasture to take our animals, we had to get back in time, because your parents can beat you. If you're not on that bus, my father would have beat me and my sister. I would have to go take them up in the morning, make sure that they're tied properly, come back home, bathe, come home on the evening, head back to the pasture, and make sure we bring them back home, and everybody have the animals secure in their backyard. So we always remember those lashes can come back if we don't get that bus. So getting there early was just like, it become normal, it become part of us. So then we never got any lashes anymore, because we was always doing what we had to do to catch that bus. Because we could see when the bus leave right down here, because the bus used to park right there. So we could see from Cambridge there. So we had to run from all where those houses is down to get to visits before that bus get there. If that bus get there, we can't go back home, because lakes. It's licks. So then what we had to do then, so we let me move early in the morning to count the sheep and come back. So then we would take our time. The time when we get there, we are there waiting for the bus. And then you once you get it, you go to town. Go to get another bus, go to Paris and come back all the way. So as the years went by, and Transport Board came to the country, then you still had to go out there. You know, you still had to go there. But then as it got more, then they started to send a bus only on Saturdays. So the bus Transport Board only used to come to Cambridge on Saturdays to carry the people to the supermarket to get their groceries. So during the week, we still had to walk from Cambridge to Basics to catch the bus. And thank God that, you know, it don't happen anymore, that the buses are now coming in. So back then growing up, it was fun for us. But when you look back, it made us who we are today. We never complained, but we do what we had to do to get there. And so when I look back, I can say that I had a very nice youth upbringing from my father. I got lashes, but I'm a man today. And I think as a farmer growing up, it taught us what our parents had to do. The parents raised animals so that they could finance us. So they taught us that when we get old, we could continue what they had left off. And that's what I am doing right now. I carry on with a lot of black belly sheep. Because, you know, people look down on farming, but farming is the only thing that can feed this country.
The tradition of having your baby at the Belle Plaine Hostel comes to mind.
One of the midwives was Miss Middleton. She was a pastor. She was one of the midwives, and there were some others that were midwives back then. I think we had one or two in Chalky. But I was very young that time, so I can't remember those names. But I can remember Miss Middleton. But I think my mom said to me that I was at the Belle Plaine Hostel, where you used to go and get babies. That back then, you go to the Belle Plaine Hostel in St. Andrew. And so that is where the majority of the birth was done, at the hostel.
Were you born in Belle Plaine too?
Yes, please. My mom told me that. So then you had to depend upon like people who had carers. Much people didn't have carers. So who had the carers, then the parents would hire them to take them down to Belle Plaine and bring them back up. There were no ambulance. Because just if we had to go there, no ambulance that time.
Natural herbs and medicinals. Dexter has a treasure trove of knowledge regarding some of the bushes and vines we may not even recognize.
Cherishing bush is a vine that has a yellow fruit on it, and what we used to call back then the froggy pumpkin. But the bigger fruit to that is bitter melon. The melon is the hybrid to that. So we used to pick the fruit when it gets yellow red, and there's a red tasty fruit inside that we used to suck off all the sweetness out of it. That is the Cherishing bush. Then you had porter bush. They have buffcoat leaves. They had Christmas bush, bloodroot. All of those were the bushes that people used to boil for us and give us to drink.
As cleansers.
As cleansers. And I find that they're still using it, because I still use my bush. I have a lot of Cherishing bush. I know there's ning bush, guava leaves, breadfruit leaves, all those bush now that so we have more bush than we had before. So if you go to my home, I have so many bush that I boil and drink every day.
Have you ever heard about sour dirt? Only in St. Andrew.
Well, when growing up, I used to hear about this sour dirt, and the old people used to say that it's healthy. And we used to eat it. We used to go and look for it and eat it. And it had a kind of salty, acid taste in it, but it was delicious. Yeah, a lot of us ate a lot of sour dirt growing up. Yeah, And it never ever did us anything that pretended unhealthy.
And what was this sour dirt used for?
Stomach pain and colds. But I can't remember every one. But we used to eat it like twice a week on weekends.
Why on weekends it would?
Because that, but I used to eat mine on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So I'll purge you out and everything. So that during the week then you feel better. It's like when you get in casserole on weekends, it works you out so that your body then will be functioning through the entire week.
A dose of sour dirt, not a day, but twice a week.
Yes, but that's something that you could go and pick and eat yourself. You just walk down the gully and you could just go and sit and eat it how you want to eat it.
The countryside and the seaside woven into one. Dexter shares with us some of the forgotten fishing traditions.
From Cambridge, you could look and Tent Bear, where the boats used to come in. You can see the boats coming in at Tent Bear from these angles. And then you got speculators coming out, and back then there were vans with people come with fish. The man blowing the horn, when the man come blowing the horn, you know like fish. He said, fish, $5 for $1. So then we were stopping, we would carry our bucket or our pan and buy all the flying fish. That's when flying fish was plentiful and big. So that was another thing that we grew up. Sometimes when we know the fishermen coming out, we would buy a good set, we would roast some, we would scale some and put some salt and put them on the roof.
You would salt the fish and put some on
to purify them, because there was no fridge that time. So what the people used to do, they would take out the bones, or some would take out the bones, salt it and put it on the house top, so the sun would dry it out. So then it would purify how salt fish is be salt right like that. One thing that he used to always talk about the heart man, that was real. And he used to say that, like, my brother told me that one thing he was coming from Bathsheba by his girlfriend. He was coming through Horse Drink in St. Joseph. And he said that he saw a light behind me, he ran into the canes. So when he ran into the canes, he told me that the hearse come and stop where he ran in. And the man said, man, he run through here. He run through here. My brother said that he wasn't there so afraid that he couldn't even sneeze. He said he said he felt something crawling upon him. He felt like a centipede. He could not holler at all. And he was so scared. But then he said, man, look, we can't find him. And then he went along. But then there's another guy who also told me that he was coming home, coming down Basics. And they had a part there called the 7 coordinate trees. There were 7 coordinate trees. And he said he had passed there. And when he passed there, when he looked back, he saw a light coming. He said it was about 2 in the morning. And he ran in the canes. He said exactly, the hearse come and stopped beside him where he was. He was covered in trash. And the man got out, came over him, passed water on him. He could not move. The man got back in the hearse, and when he went straight on the pipe. But I heard more about the heart man than anything else. Heart man and the steel donkey. Steel donkey is like what when you never pay the coolie man his money. And if you owe the coolie man money, you don't pay, keep on hiding all the time. Eventually, they used to say he sent a steel donkey for you. But he has stories a lot about steel donkeys, where steel donkey run people. And those persons live to tell is true. So those were the stories that I could recall sitting and listening to my father and all the older folks in the community and everything.
How has the face of Chalky Mount changed?
It has changed because that the generations come out and generations go. And as it moved back from the 70s to the 80s, you see a lot of people moving over to Chalky Mount, migrating overseas. But the growth still continues straight to Chalky Mount people and everything. But as we come to the new, in the 21st century, you know, there's not that love anymore in the communities. You know, it's like negativity starting to take over young people, like violence and, you know, drugs. And Chalky Mount has changed, but it still remains a knitted family community. But these are the results of progress. Progress, and one of the things that I could boldly say is that, like, I don't think that the fathers don't have hands-on with their kids, their sons especially, like I do with my son. I have hands-on with my son because I don't want my son to walk in that negative path. You know me, as I speak, you know, there are mothers out there who are crying out for their sons being the blood running in the streets. And I met myself, my father was there for me. He was always there for me, my sister, he was there for my other siblings. My father always tell me, when you get children, make sure that you are there for them. When you love them and they grow up, they will always respect you. And you pass on that to your sons, and that it have to be a family tradition. Today, I don't see there's much family tradition in our societies. It's sad, you know, and I have 2 sons, 2 daughters. And I know some of your children, when telling things like the father, they feel like you want to control their life. But I always tell my children, I am teaching you to be better than I am. When I gone, you are going to be still living this earth. But remember, you're going to have a family. I also taught my children, if you treat me bad, or you treat your mother bad, there's a consequence for that. And we think we need to instill godly principles in our children. That is the only way that we will overcome all the evil in this country. Every time a young boy gets gunned down, it hurts me. It hurts me to the core. That could be my son. That could be a doctor. That could be a minister of the Word of God. He could be a leader, a world leader. He could be prime minister of this country. That's why I say that, like, men need to stand up and tell their children what is right and what is wrong. I'm one of those parents. I always speak stern to my children. I say, like, you may not like it, but I love you. So I can shout, but because I shout don't mean I hate you. My father shouted at me, I listened, he flogged me, and today I am who I am because my father was there for me.
So how much of a treasure is Cambridge and Chalky Mount?
This is an everyday thing for us back then, you know, because this is what we enjoyed coming here. I get to the fat ports, the cashews, and sitting down and looking back, all back to Chalky Mount in Cambridge, you know, because we always tell ourselves, look, we got to cherish this, you know. As a young boy, I used to tell myself, I will always remember Chalky Mount. I will always remember Cambridge. And these are the 2 most beautiful districts in Chalky Mount and in Cambridge. There's no view. This is so breathtaking. When you come here, all you get is fresh air. You clear your lungs. So there's nothing that could compare to Chalky Mount nor Cambridge. The nearest one for us, that's Cambridge. Beyond the trees, the hills, is Bathsheba, St. Joseph. Beyond Bathsheba is Martins Bay, St. John. And beyond St. John, it is Ragged Point, St. Philip. So we have all those different parishes that link to the Scotland district. So what we're seeing here is a whole coastline that makes up Scotland district, right to St. Philip.